The phone rings on an ordinary Tuesday. A lawyer you have never met says a name you barely remember. A distant relative has passed, and buried inside their will is a single sentence that rearranges your entire life. $1 million, now yours. You hang up. Your hands are shaking. You think the hard part is over. You think you just won, but the money was never the real test. The 30 days that follow are. Here's what nobody tells you. Most people who suddenly receive a fortune do not lose it slowly and tragically over decades. They lose it on a schedule almost identical to everyone who came before them. The faces change. The pattern never does. Why does that keep happening? The first thing your brain does has a name. Richard Thaler, who won the Nobel Prize for studying exactly this, called it mental accounting. Your mind refuses to treat all money as equal. A dollar earned through a hard month of work feels heavy, protected, almost sacred. A dollar that simply fell into your lap feels weightless. This inherited million does not feel like your money. Not yet. And money that does not feel like yours is money you will spend like it belongs to a stranger. Thaler found something even sharper. He called it the house money effect. When gamblers win big early in the night, they start betting those winnings recklessly because the cash never felt like theirs to lose in the first place. You are now holding $1 million of house money, and the casino is your own life. Day 3. You buy something? Nothing crazy. A nicer car? Maybe. You earned it. In a way, something painful happened, and this is the silver lining, so why not? Day 9. A friend needs help. You help. Of course you help. You have $1 million now. What is $20,000 to someone like you? Day 17. The trips, the upgrades, the small luxuries that quietly stop feeling like luxuries at all. Each purchase is reasonable. Each one looks tiny next to the number in your account, and that is exactly how the number disappears. There is a study you should know about. In 1978, 3 researchers named Brickman, Coates, and Janoff-Bullman tracked major lottery winners and compared their happiness to ordinary people who had won nothing. Within months, the winners were no happier than anyone else. The thrill had faded. The new car had become just a car. The dream house had become just a house. They called this the hedonic treadmill. Your happiness adapts to whatever you have, resets itself to zero, then demands even more to feel the same spark again. The million did not make you content. It simply raised the price of feeling content. Do you see the problem yet? Now layer a second study on top. Economists Scott Hankins, Mark Hoekstra, and Paige Skiba examined thousands of Florida lottery winners over many years. They expected the big winners to escape financial trouble for good. Instead, they found the opposite. Winning a large sum did not prevent bankruptcy. It only delayed it, often by just 3 to 5 years. The bigger the prize, the larger the collapse waiting at the end of it. The money bought time. It never bought a new mind. And this is not only a lottery story. Look at professional athletes, people who earn fortunes in a handful of years. Studies of retired players have estimated that a majority run into serious money trouble within a few years of their final paycheck, tens of millions of dollars gone. Not because they were foolish, because nobody had ever taught their nervous system the difference between having money and keeping it. This is the counterintuitive truth sitting at the center of everything. Sudden wealth does not change who you are. It amplifies who you already were. If you were anxious, you become an anxious person with $1 million. If you spent without thinking, you now spend without thinking at 10 times the scale. The fortune does not rewrite your habits. It funds them faithfully until there is nothing left to fund. Warren Buffett, a man who understands money as deeply as anyone alive, has pointed out that the real measure of wealth is not how much you make, but how much you keep, and how long you allow it to grow untouched. $1 million touched is just a number passing through your hands on its way to someone else. $1 million left alone, quietly compounding in the background, becomes something that can outlive you. So what would those 30 days look like if you truly understood all of this? You would do almost nothing. That is the entire secret. You would let the money sit and breathe. You would feel the powerful, almost physical urge to act on it, and you would refuse to obey that urge. Because the danger was never that you would spend it too slowly. The danger was always that you would treat found money as if it had cost you nothing to receive. You would wait until that million stopped feeling like house money and started feeling like your money until the shaking in your hands finally settled. Until the version of you that aches to spend, it goes quiet, and the version of you that has to live with the aftermath is finally allowed to speak. And here's the part that matters most, the part that has nothing to do with inheritance at all. You do not need a dead relative to sit this exam. You face a smaller version of it constantly on a loop, every raise, every bonus, every tax refund that lands in your account feeling like a present instead of plain income, Every windfall is a miniature inheritance, and your brain quietly files all of them under house money. The tax refund that has evaporated by spring, the bonus that vanishes into a single long weekend, the raise that was supposed to change your life and somehow left you standing in the exact same place. That is the hedonic treadmill humming along underneath you, every year on amounts far smaller than $1 million but ruled by precisely the same psychology. So the real question was never whether you could hold on to $1 million. The real question is whether you can hold on to the next 100, the next 1,000, the money that has already arrived in your account this year, the money you have already let slip through your fingers simply because it never quite felt like yours. The fortune is not the test. The treadmill is, and you have been running on it your entire life. The phone does not need to ring on an ordinary Tuesday. The inheritance needs no lawyer, no will, no name you can barely remember. It is already here. It has been arriving in small amounts for years, asking the same quiet question every time. And the only thing standing between you and keeping it is the slow, deliberate decision to treat your money as though it was always, already yours.